Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Independent Truckers. I almost said the wrong thing there, Sean. Good evening, everyone, and Sean and I haven't done this in a long time. We thought we'd come on and do our little thing and see how it takes off. We're a little late on the startup because Mr. Brian Brzee was doing a live video of his own, and since he tagged me, and I certainly didn't want to be rude and go over top of him, that wouldn't have been very nice of me. And I also wanted to hear what he had to say. In fact, I don't need his headset on anymore. How you doing, Sean?
Hey, John, how you doing? It's great to be back on the air with you again.
It's pretty awesome, man. We haven't done this in a very long time.
No, we've talked, and we finally said tonight was the night.
We need to get back on here. We need to talk, do some stuff, get a little bit more into what the FMCSA's been up to, what they've been about, what's going on with Federal Register. I probably ought to bring Leland in. He's going to be working on whatever. This show is going to have a little bit of a trucking across America with the Schmitz. Leah's working on his truck. He's got his headset on so he can communicate with us. If he gets too loud or anything banging around, we'll take him out. But as it is.
So actually, you're getting a twofer here tonight, folks. You actually get to hear John and I discuss certain issues, and at the same time, you get this body painting 101 from Leland Schmidt.
Leland, what is the name of your truck? Or is he not hearing us?
He
took his headset off. Jeez. Yeah, he took his headset
There, I muted myself. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. So what is it? Did you ever name your truck or?
I did not name my truck other than Money Pit would be a good name for it.
I think that name's
Money
been taken, Leland.
Oh. All right. Nah, I have no name. I don't.
I've owned 3 of my own, and I've never named them either. But it's a very common thing for people to do. People like to they like to name their trucks. I know Gary Shaw called his Snow White. Tony Justice named his Purgatory. Mike Gunny Ferrum had the Mistress, and it's kind of fun, I guess.
What does wife say about that?
Which one, Mike?
Yeah.
I don't know. I never spoke with his wife or heard anything from her about the matter, but
Well, and even Steve Pasuni had his truck named too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Big Bird.
Yep, Big Bird.
We all know Big Bird. So,
Big Bird pulled a lot of steel.
yeah, she did. Did a lot of maintenance on that one too. She's lasted a long time.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, we do want to give out a condolence to Gary Shaw for losing his wife last week. I personally was not able to get on Gary's page, but I think the Independent Trucker Show, we would like to go ahead and extend our deepest sorrows at this time for Gary.
Absolutely. Hey, Jeremy Ray Walt, how you doing? So, I thought, Sean, we were talking about opening up a little bit about it. You had some ideas about Afghanistan you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, here's what I got to say. So let's start this out. John, I've got a helicopter. Would you want one?
Absolutely. Are they for free?
You got to go to Afghanistan and get one and get it away from the Taliban. Now, this is what I don't understand. So, you fought these bastards for years. They claimed responsibility for 9/11, thank you, bin Laden. And yet, though, we gave them choppers, we gave them ammo. Why didn't we just give them a couple airplanes and be done with it?
What do you mean we didn't?
Oh, I don't think we gave them any airplanes, but by God, they sure got choppers.
Give Biden some time. In 2011, Biden had announced that he didn't think the Taliban were really terrorists, even though they were designated as terrorists and they were a target of the United States in regard to what happened during 9/11. And for some reason, Biden didn't seem to think that they were really truly terrorists. Now we gave them a whole country. We gave them the armaments of a whole country. And my greatest concern in the matter is, it's going to come back. We're going to lose men because of the arms we left behind. It's disgusting.
And speaking of men, two of the 13 were from Indiana. One was a staff sergeant from Utah. Now that's 3 different families that are affected, all because we gave somebody a few helicopters.
It's messed up. This is not the United States of America we know. Trucking is our primary topic here, but like I said, COVID and Afghanistan have been such hot topics, and they affect trucking. In fact, we know the trucker shutdown that happened today in regards to some of the things going on, especially COVID. But
I really hadn't heard anything. Have you, John?
the shutdown, yeah, I've seen some videos. I was paying attention today. I watched some videos, and I saw Greg Anderson's video, and I did see that they got pulled over, and I don't know why. But they were going down towards Nashville or something in Tennessee, and next thing you know, the Blues came on, and a bunch of trucks. Greg was in behind, and next time he's passing trucks that are just trucks on the shoulder, just boom, 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 and he went ahead of him, pulled on over to the shoulder, and he ended his video, and I haven't seen another one since, so I don't know what exactly happened.
The only one I really saw today that I paid attention to was the one that came out from Daniel Kors. And he was basically explaining about with the school board and the mask mandate, which if you are now passing through Minnesota, they have recommended you have a mask on. The highlight of today comes from the good old state of Illinois. Now, see, this is where I have to agree with Mitch Daniels when he was governor. Because he said living next door to Illinois was like living next door to the Simpsons. If you have a child 2 years older, or if an adult lives in the house, you have to wear an indoor mask now. Indoor.
So they have an indoor mask mandate in effect.
There you go. Started today.
How are they going to enforce such ludicrous bullshit? Sorry.
Well, we're curious on that ourselves.
Well, that's what I'd like to know too, Leland.
But they do. I'm not sure exactly how they plan on doing it there, but I mean, as long as they got a mandate, I suppose they can enforce it. And what they do is they find the establishment, right? It's the establishments that take the hit. And that's where TJ and I have had a problem, because we want to go out to dinner or something and get out of the house, and you go out and the establishment's going to take a hit if you don't put that mask on. Now, I could abruptly walk in there and stick a middle finger up in the air and say I'm not doing it, to hell with you, but they're the ones going to face a $3,000 fine or however much it is. And I don't know if I will or not. I know there was a restaurant that waitress explained to me that they got called on one time, and the cop came and he confronted the people about it, said, "You are supposed to wear a mask, it's a requirement." He says, "Now I've done my job, I'm leaving," and he didn't do anything about it. So, I don't know. Are they going to enforce it? Are they not going to enforce it? I guess it's up to individual law enforcement officers, up to individual jurisdictions, and how they decide they're going to go about doing things. And that's the issue within itself. We like this trucker protest was against the mandate, but really it's on us all. It's really on us all, and it's how we deal with it. If we refuse, hi Tracy Lee, if we refuse to do it, and we refuse to participate as a society, they can't do anything about it. There's just so many of us. What are they going to do? They're going to fine us all? What if we refuse to pay the fines? What are they going to do? Take our homes away? They're going to create a crisis.
You never know. You never know. Nancy might have people taking pictures.
Nancy is a piece of work. That's it, man. Talk about screwing mandates. We talked about this a lot in the Common Sense Conservatives.
There is a U.S. representative we're looking at getting on the show. I'm not going to say no farther than that. Where even the Capitol Police have came up and told this individual they don't feel comfortable enforcing that law. Or they don't feel comfortable enforcing what Nancy said. I'll put it that way.
Right. Well, what did she say, and what gives her legislative power to enforce it?
If there is a representative that refuses to wear their mask, which I already know there's quite a few, especially our little favorite girl in Colorado, they're supposed to take a picture and turn it in.
See, Jeremy,
if it is an employee or some type of staff or a visitor, then they're supposed to be arrested.
Now, Jerry, wait,
Now-
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead,
Yeah,
John.
well, you just brought up a point here that Washington State has had mask mandates for 2 weeks. We also, via our our great governor, all state employees, teachers, school volunteers, and medical field includes nurses, doctors, and secretaries in these offices. They have till the 18th that their jobs will be terminated. Terminate them! Go ahead! Terminate their jobs. Who's going to work them? Is Nancy going to show up and work those jobs? She going to bring Congress over to work those jobs? How are they going to? How is 535 members of Congress plus 50 governors going to rule over 3 million people when we don't work our jobs, when we don't have our jobs anymore? What are they going to do? They're threatening to terminate our jobs. So what? Have it. Jobs aren't a dime a dozen anymore. McDonald's is paying $13 an hour. Who cares? Take the job.
Things are so understaffed right now. I just tried to get something to eat to Denny's here at Toma tonight. They closed at 3 o'clock because of understaffing. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the Denny's in Toma, Wisconsin is closed at 3 o'clock because they can't find nobody to work.
And that has been a problem. And that's what I'm saying. As it is, they can't find enough people to work. I mean, take the job. Who cares? Take it. I've thrown keys at dispatchers more times than I care to count. If you can do the job better than me, you're more than welcome to do it. If you know better than I do, then you should do it. If you don't like the way I'm doing it, if I'm not wearing a mask or I'm not going to get the jab, here are the keys. What are you going to do?
Oh,
Shut
you mean
down the
kinda
whole
like
country
I-
for good?
Kind of like I told the guy at Pilgrims today when they told me to drop the trailer in the door. He said, you got to move over a little bit to the right. I said, here, I'll drop the son of a bitch and you do it yourself. I don't give a damn. If I don't do it to your perfection, you have at it.
Yeah, right? I don't mind.
It's between two yellow lines. That's all I know. Nobody's ever complained before.
I agree with William, man. Well, Biden, Harris, and Pelosi out now. I do too. I didn't want them in to begin with. We need them out, and Schumer too. We need that piece of dirt out. These guys are just the corruption of America. These guys are the people
now,
Donald
John,
Trump was talking
John.
about going after when he went in 2016.
John, we would be remiss to add one more name to that list.
Which name would that be?
Oh, your favorite, Adam.
Who, Adam Schiff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we need, there's a whole, I mean, pretty much 50% of Congress needs to go. I mean, enough is enough.
I think this next election coming up, you're going to see a lot of seats changing.
I hope
what
so.
I
Well,
foresee.
if you look at history in Congress, this is what happened. People didn't like how things were going with the right, so they went with the left. They didn't like how things were going with the left, so they went with the right. And it keeps going back and forth like a yo-yo. It's possible maybe we'll garner the House in 2022. I should hope so. I mean, we need to. As far as conservative values go, we need to. And the funny thing about it, if you think about it, when you look at it, left or right, most people are pretty moderate. Most people are kind of conservative. If you ask them 3 questions, okay, do you believe in fair and just laws to live by? The answer is yes. If you believe that you should have limited government intrusion in your life, the answer is yes. And if you believe that the Constitution should be protected at all costs, the answer is yes. Well, welcome to the conservative movement, people. I mean, that's basically the very foundation of what conservatism is about. And a lot of people on the left want those very things. So what's the issue, you know? Except for...
But then when you were talking about the parties and that, the way they shift over, I mean, the Democrats are getting ready, they've already lost one. And I got a feeling they're getting ready to lose another Democratic governor.
Well, we know that they're going to lose Newsom. That's looking pretty good.
Well,
right now.
Cuomo's already left.
Actually, Kevin, that's Kevin's commenting here. OSHA has stated that if an employer mandates the vaccine and the employee gets sick or dies from the vaccines and or side effects, it turns the responsibility to the employer, and the employer can be sued by the employee and employee's family. That was a truth. They did say that, but I think they retracted that, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not trying to contradict you in a rude manner. I'm just saying I think, because I looked that up recently, and I noticed that they had rewritten it, And now it looks as if they kind of retracted it, as if the employer has something like a 2-year exemption that they won't be sued or something like that. I have to go back to look at the wording on it, on what I'm talking about, but I was surprised when I was looking it up and saw that was missing, which is concerning. By the way, since we're on the topic, Wednesday night, not tomorrow night, Wednesday, September 8th, we're going to have a doctor on to talk about COVID on the Common Sense Conservatives. Patty says she hopes I do some crashes and burns. Yeah, take Nancy with them. Thomas Buster said they did retract it. And that's the issue right there, Rhonda. That makes a point, but you're sick or dead. What difference does it make if you're going to sue them when you're sick or dead, right? That's an issue within itself. The things this doctor I was talking to him about a pre-interview, and the things he's talking about, he'll blow your mind. In a week from now, he'll blow your mind. The things he was telling me about is absolutely scary, actually. So I hope you guys will tune in for that one. Check us. Mark your date. Like I said, September 8th, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And that's our live radio show, by the way. So
this is the same doctor that reviewed the Indiana Board of Health and the CDC. John didn't tell you that little tidbit.
No. Well, I mean, give his name. It's Dr. Dan Stock. And funny thing is that he sounds a lot like Matthew Kane when he talks, and that cracked me up because when I answered the phone and heard his voice, that's how I address him. Like, hey, Matthew, how you doing? He's like, no, I'm not Matthew. And so it's kind of interesting talking with him because he did sound so much like, even the word usages and stuff, he sounded like a lot like Matthew. But yeah, just giving you a heads up on that. Hopefully you'll be able to check that out. And like I said, mark the date on it. I'm going to see if I can put together what do they call it, events on Facebook, so people can like it and be there, get notification for it. Japan has stopped the shots. Australia has now had some women die from the shots. Pfizer has said the few outnumber the benefits. Yeah, there was a thing about that where they decided that yes, people will die from Pfizer, but the benefits outweigh the adverse effects. Figure that one out.
This is what I found funny, and I talked to you about this today, John. And to any individual, they may just think, it's another commercial. But why would Eli Lilly, be starting to run commercials, even though it's on Pluto TV, just about the time that all this is coming out with COVID? And for all those that don't know, Eli Lilly is a very Midwestern, and it is based in Indiana. It is a very big pharmaceutical company. It employs a lot of people in downtown Indianapolis. Why would they all of a sudden decide they're going to start running ads?
So Rhonda brings up Fauci's wife is in the middle of it somehow. She is the head of the Department of Bioethics with the National Institute of Health. A lot of people spread some information saying she was the director of the NIH, and that is not so. In fact, that is Frances S. Collins, I believe, is the director of the National Institute of Health. However, she is the head of the Bioethics Department. The NIH does not...
With Fauci's wife, doesn't she... Is this wrong? Maybe because I've heard this story on TikTok. Doesn't she give the approval or disapproval about certain pharmaceutical drugs?
I don't know how it works with the NIH, but as far as the Federal Drug Administration goes, or the Food and Drug Administration, they operate like the FMCSA. Remember the ELD is self-certifying? Well, they put out the guidelines of what they're looking for. You meet the guidelines, and they approve. They don't do any testing or anything that I'm aware of. From what I was reading it on recently, they don't exactly do any testing. They just, well, you met the guidelines. You look like you're a good product. They only recall about 4,500 drugs or products a year, on average. Okay, so Pfizer gets approved because they met the criteria. Now, next year Pfizer may be recalled because people's blood's clotting and they're dying. We don't know what's going to happen, and this is how inept our government is. This is how government works. So it's like the fox guard in the hen house, Yeah, I got a product. I want to get my product to market. I want to get a return on my investment. So let's just make these guidelines and we'll guinea pig everybody. They can't sue them. They've got a law. You can't sue them for it.
You almost said that as perfect as one other guy I know, except he used the word Tom Sawyer.
Oh, yeah. Peculiar man from Missouri. TJ brings up a good point here. Why did, after 10 years, the FDA deny the HIV vaccine reported today, but the vaccine didn't even go through all the trials? I didn't even know they had a vaccine for HIV, to be honest about it,
Yeah, I was telling you about that today, John, when we talked about different viruses.
My selective
They
hearing
claim
probably
there's
kicked in.
they claim there's one out there, but the FDA won't approve it. It won't go through.
I would like to hear if anybody's been involved in the shutdown, has talked to people and stuff, and you want to call in and fill us in a little bit of what your experiences were and what you've seen out there. I know I've talked to a lot of drivers, not to be on the crude side of it, but a lot of drivers said, man, there's a lot of trucks running out here for a shutdown. We know that. This happens every time. But I would like to hear the shutdown side of it, We wanted to talk a little bit about the subcommittee tonight, and we wanted to
Yeah, we just don't want we don't want to hear where anybody's railing on each other. That's what we don't want to hear about.
Exactly. There's no reason for people did shut down, and some people didn't, and we don't want to get into the ugliness of you can rot in hell for not shutting down. That don't need to be done here. We're Sean and I for all these years now. We've seen so much ugliness coming out of people, and I know it's emotions. I know it's emotions. Everybody gets wound up, and
some of it's emotions.
Yeah. Some of it's just
But we won't mention any names. There was a few that tried to get profitable gain off of it.
Well, yeah, we talked about that before with trucking has brought us a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Well, that was one of them, but I was more thinking of, see Kyle, I'm going to go to the second floor of the rocket spiel and say, truckers had enough. See Kyle.
No, guys, we're not supposed to get into who, what, and, But, yeah, we've seen a lot of people made it more about themselves than the cause, and that's been an issue, and it's been talked about a lot, and I've heard a lot of videos and stuff, and folks have brought that up about, it's time to put self aside, and it's funny because having interviewed somebody like General Don Bolduc, and listen to what he has done with his career and how it was selflessness, It's always, we always say, thank you for your sacrifice, for the service that they provided in the military. It's selflessness. And you'd think if this cause was worthy enough, we can get past the selfishness and get more involved into, how did one person put it today? Everybody wants to be the rubber duck, but nobody thinks of themselves as pigpen. And sometimes you gotta, realize you gotta be a cog in the wheel. Not everybody's always going to be the one that drives the cogs, Or
what happened to being who's the wolf?
He'll let you know when he's the wolf. Trust me, he'll let you know. So, but it would be nice to hear from you folks. So we do have somebody did queue in. So let's go ahead and bring this gentleman in and see what's on his mind. Your mic is open, Gary.
Yeah, well, I shut down, but I planned on, not for the reason, I was planning on coming in and shutting down, but I shut down basically a little over a week ago. Actually shut down last Monday, and then I was going to stay shut down until tomorrow, and then Nancy kind of threw a monkey wrench into that for me.
You have our deepest sympathy.
How you doing now, Gary?
Not really real good. I mean, I'm still, my head's spinning. I lose it. Yeah, I've got more than 100 pictures in my house with Angie on the back of my motorcycle, my Harley in my truck. We were rafting, we were, clowning around. She loved to take pictures of us. And she fought a really hard fight for almost 3 years. And then all of a sudden, it found a weak spot, and it got into her tubal. And when it closed off the lungs, there was nothing we could do. So I shut down, and I respect those that do and respect those that don't. It is a personal choice. But for these people trying to make the people in the schools and anybody in any business basically mandate somebody to take this jab, my problem is, why did Fauci and Bill Gates get a patent more than 5+ years ago, almost 6 years now? Why were they given a patent for COVID-19 when it wasn't even around?
I didn't even know you can. I don't know. I never seen any evidence on that patent. I did hear about it. Why they would get a patent on it?
It's out there. You just got to go. It's hard to find, but it's been buried since it's now known. It's been buried. You got people burying stuff left and right. That's just like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Gary,
all
you would know.
basically would shut down the trucking stuff.
Gary, you would know since you worked a little bit under the Bush administration. So how would somebody bury something like that?
You got somebody high up that's pulling people. You got to remember, you got a lot of people in the Biden administration that come out of the social media influence arena, and that work for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all these jerks, that want to make us a puppet. You got 13 families that want to control the world, and they can give two shits about the rest of us. There's, from what I've researched, so far there's over 500,000 plus people that took this jab have died. And I don't gripe with anybody. I mean, they asked my wife, they were trying to get my wife to take it, and I told the doctor, no. They tried to get my mother to take it. My mother's right there where Angie's at right now. And it's just like I told her, she has to fight. I said, I can't handle two of you going out in the same year. It just, I'm almost to the point now that I don't give a shit what goes on, or what I do, because it's just like, I got my kids and my granddaughter to live for, but the most important factor in my life is gone now, and it's like, who cares? Don't mean to be sounding rude, guys. I'm pissed off at this.
No, we were letting you go a little bit, Gary, because a lot of things
and our government. Why didn't we open our eyes up a lot sooner? I mean, this has been going on for years and years and years, and we just they sneak it in there and do little by little, and then now they're going full blown with everything they got. It should
Well,
be a
Gary, we
personal
know.
choice, just like people ask me all the time, why do you not wear a mask? I said, why do you want me to wear a mask? So you can have your right. I have rights. My rights don't matter. Your rights overrule mine. It's a personal choice. I've not got sick. I've been in every one of these hot zones for more than a year and a half. And I've gotten a little bit of a cold here and there, but nothing that stopped me from getting nothing to put me in a hospital. It's all about personal choice, who you're around all the time, and if you build up your immunity system, and you got a good immunity system, you're going to be fine. It's less than a 1% chance of dying unless you have something major underlining conditions. But I respect everybody's wishes. It's a personal choice. Everybody has to make their own choice and their own decisions what they want to do.
Well, Gary, we know you to be an advocate for trucking, and we've also known that you've been out there doing you've been doing what you can for your part of what you did with the advocacy. What do you feel, and I'm going to ask this only question to Gary, what do you feel would change what's going on from them saying taking a shot versus you don't have to?
Well, it's going to come to the point that they're going to literally make, and I'm fixing to probably retire, they're going to try their damnedest to basically, the whole goal is to get basically 2/3, 3/3, most everybody vaccinated, and then we'll know what happens in 5 years or less. It's been said basically most people will get really, really sick and start having underlying conditions about 2 years after this shot to 5 years they could be dead. They want to thin the population out of the world. If they make it mandatory that you got to have your CDLs, that you got to take this shot, I won't be driving a truck. I'll get rid of my truck, sell my truck. I've been able to buy another truck and another trailer. After I sold all mine to get Angie into the hospital, I worked out a deal with a friend of mine, and I've got a brand new truck. But I've already done told him, if it comes to the point that these shippers and receivers basically we go to say we have to have it, don't send me anywhere where they're telling me we got to have it. I'm not taking the shot. He went and got it, and and I told him, I said, that's your choice. I'm not going to do it. And he's about the same, close to the same age. He got sick. He got. Matter of fact, he got COVID again.
So what you're saying to me is, that to answer my question, we're all going to have to stand up and say no.
At some point, we're gonna. If we want to get our country back, at some point we're gonna have to stand up and say enough is enough. You should have your own right and your own choice. If you want to take the jab, yeah. But if they try to take over the trucking industry, if they gave the trucking industry, they've wiped out every industry in the country. Because without us, there is nothing else.
Well, and I tried that one-liner 3 years ago when I just told everybody, just say enough. When you shut your truck down, put a sign up, say enough, and one line of what you're tired of. And it don't have to be what your buddy next door wrote. But that's another story. Somebody was screaming about going to the second floor of the White House. Maybe now everybody's ready to do that.
Said out there today. He said he has to take a couple of days. It may not be the right time, but there's never going to be a right time. No one.
No, you're right.
You can put 25 truckers. You can put 25 truckers in a room and give them all coffee, and it's free, and somebody else is going to pay for it. You're going to find 5 out of the 25, if not more, that's going to bitch about the coffee. It wasn't this. It wasn't this. Or it wasn't that. It's just we all are unique individual breeds, and to get more than half to agree on something, it's like going into a dentist and jerking out somebody's tooth that really hurts without any pain medication. It's not going. It's going to be really hard to happen.
Well, and that was my whole point about starting like that. Because I'd seen where the guys there was a group in Canada a couple years ago that done something similar to that, and it actually worked out pretty good for them. And I just think it's about time that we all just stand up and say enough.
Well, Canada and Australia is a different breed of truckers. Those truckers are a different breed than what we have here in the United States. What we have here in the United States, and pardon my French, is kind of like you got a lot of people that want to be a wannabe and do things because they want to get their name out there. Everything I've ever done, it wasn't about me. It wasn't for getting my recognition of my name. I could give 2 shits about that. What I give a shit about is my fellow brothers and sisters that are out here riding up and down the road. We're underpaid. The wages we're getting right now, we were making more in 1970 than what we're making now. And we've allowed this to happen. But we've also allowed our government to interfere. We've allowed brokers to step in and basically treat us like shit. They tell you what they're willing to pay you, and then you got people, we allow them to bring in Nigerians. Nothing against Nigerians. Nothing against Sikh. Nothing against any nationality that comes to this country, because we are a free country and a free nation to where people have an opportunity. But when you get people that are willing to step loads for $1 or under, and they don't know any better, there is no formal training. there is no basically no teaching, and everybody ridicules people. You hear all the time about somebody when somebody goes to Swift or Night or in. You hear the jokes. You know, it's sad. Everybody has to start somewhere. But yes, there is a time and a place, and it's getting close. I shut down. I mean, if Angie hadn't have passed away this past week, I would have still shut down. Just like they want to know when I was going to be ready to go out, and that's a good question. I don't want to be getting behind the wheel and something pop up and I start losing it. Our song comes on the radio or somebody says something on the radio. You know, I don't want to lose and start crying and act like a baby and be behind the rig and got my wagon full. I don't feel comfortable. And I told them that. I said, my truck's paid up way in advance, and I said I'm not gonna run it. My trailer's paid up in advance. I said I don't have to run it. I want to make sure that when I get back out there, that it's out there for me and where I can have fun again. Right now, I'm not having fun at anything I'm doing, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just the fact I knew this day was coming when she died last Wednesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:05. I knew this day was coming at some point, but the doctors and everybody kept telling us we had 8 years. We didn't have 8 years. It was like a complete total shock, even though we seen it coming. But
well, again, we take our condolences, Gary. We do hope things work out best for you. Is there anything else you would like to discuss? I know I'm cutting you short, but John wanted to get on with the FMCSA, and we don't want to have much time with that.
John, you're breaking
you're
up just a
breaking up
little
real
bit.
bad. But I understand the high bits and pieces. I don't know why it's cutting in and out, but yes, we got to make a stand. Then those other people and other callers that need to do something. But until everybody's willing to put up $2 or $3 and per month of all the trucks that are out here to do something, we have to go by what ATA says because they're putting up $5 million a year. Until we can match that, and we're not going to. I mean, it wouldn't take but $2 or $3 each month out of every single one of us, but then you got people that will probably try to steal from that or do something with it. And so if that time comes, we're barking at the wind. I mean, we got a huge amount of people shutting down right now. There's people shutting down. I'm getting pictures from everywhere. There's lots and lots of people shut down. There's people that stayed home. There's people parked on the side of the interstate. There's people that have blocked cities. But it's not enough until we get everybody doing it. Thank you for your time. I mean, thank you for allowing me time to speak, guys.
You're welcome, Gary. Thank you for coming on and speaking with us. And we wish you the best in your recovery of the loss of your wife. And you're a smart man to take the time to recuperate before you get onto the road. You're right. It may take a little bit of time. And we wish you the best in that recuperation process.
Thank you, John. And I knew that going in. That's what I told everybody. I'm not gonna risk a civilian's life or another brother or sister's life until I know my head's straight. Because if my head's not straight and focused, I won't be doing anybody any good. And right now, I'm pissed at the world because of everything going on.
Yeah,
and no, she didn't get COVID. She didn't get COVID. It was the cancer. And you know what pisses me off more than anything? They can find this cures for a lot of these things like this. This jab's supposed to be a cure for this COVID, but it ain't. But yet, they've had 35 years to try to find something for cancer. The difference is money. It's all about money. I'm over $1 million in debt with her medical expense in just 3 years.
Yeah.
So you can kind of understand that, COVID comes out of nowhere, and they spent trillions of dollars, I guess. I don't know what they spent. But they spent our taxpayers' money without asking us.
They do.
Giving it away to people left and right without asking the citizens what we would like to have. And it's unfair.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, something's going to break everybody's back, and they're going to enough is going to be enough. And it's getting close to being enough is enough. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Gary.
Take care. See if that's any better now, John.
What's that, Sean?
Is the speed better now?
No, you're still breaking up. I don't know what's going on
Okay.
there, but it's like you got a bad phone connection or something. Mary Annie Lewis made a comment earlier. She says, "Hey guys, I got both vaccines and never had a heart problem, but now I have got a heart problem and fluid on my lungs. And now I don't know if it is from the vaccines, a lump on my lungs," from Mary Annie Lewis. There was an issue a while back ago about clotting, and there was also an article about clotting with COVID, that it actually does cause blood clots. What's the word for it? Thrombosis or something to that effect. And a lot of the treatments were being scrutinized because of the way they were treating them for pneumonia and when it was actually blood clotting. And so, I mean, Mary, if I were you, I'd be getting second opinions. I would get checked out for blood clots. They say it's not blood clotting, but then the other people are saying it is, and that stuff like blood thinners such as aspirin would help you a lot in a circumstance when you do have blood clots. I mean, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not trying to prescribe anything here, of course, but I'm just saying, seek a second opinion, hon. Don't take any chances with this. I don't trust the federal government anymore. From what I have seen from these last years of, we've been working with the government, doing what it is we do, and the more I see how they operate, the less I trust these people. They're wacky, dude. They're off the hinges. They don't know what they're doing, and all they're doing is following an agenda. They'll use junk science, or they'll take a good study and dissect it only to benefit their agenda. They don't care about the truth. They care about what they want to get. And I think Gary was on point in certain regards. I don't know what the end game is in the matter, but there is something fishy about this vaccine. There's something fishy about COVID. I have no doubt in that. And I'll tell you what, next Wednesday, you hear from this doctor, you'll probably understand a lot more. I think it's going to be very eye-opening. He's the same gentleman that spoke at the school board in Indiana, and the video went viral. But having spoke with him in person, it goes deeper, and he has a lot more to say about it. Getting back on the shutdown, I screenshot this one from Facebook and off from Twisted Truckers. And the statement here made was, "Another half-baked strike attempt with no organization or funding, or a clear leader who has started a dialogue with anyone in D.C. Y'all don't have to agree with me, but just think about this for a second. Trying to shut down before we organized and funded, which, by the way, ain't as hard as we think. Let's say we did have an actual successful strike. The government would tell us what we want." I don't think I got it all here. Darn it.
Basically, the government must
I'm missing the rest of that.
but we want what they want us to hear.
Yeah, that's what it was
what
getting
that
at.
would be.
And they did that in 1982. They had a trucker strike in 1982. Everybody went in. The government made promises. They agreed to everything, and they called off the strike. They called off the strike. The government reneged on their promises, the way the Taliban did over there in Afghanistan on the promises they made with Trump. I mean, they weren't supposed to go door to door, kicking doors in and cutting people's heads off, but they're killing people right now, dude. So I brought that up anyway. It was a perspective somebody had, and it's one I have shared in the past. If you're going to have a strike, you got to be organized to have a strike or a shutdown, whatever you want to call it. You do have to be organized. You do have to have somebody to convey a message to Congress. They have to know what your issues are. You want to write up more grievances than just the jab. If you're going to do it right. You know what I mean? Outline what your grievances really are, so you can sit down and have some real dialogue and real discussion. Calling for a shutdown, and I don't know if nobody did. I don't know. Maybe people did reach out to Congress. You know, somebody may call in and turn around and say, "John, we did. We actually reached out to this person, and this person." So we had somebody on the inside that knew what we were doing. I don't know that they don't. We haven't heard anything in that regard. Apparently, this gentleman didn't either. But I'm just saying, you know, in order to do something and be successful at it, we do have to be organized, structured, and we really have to outline in detail in print in order to get it into our members of Congress so they know what it is we're doing. I remember the 2013 strike, in which case drivers were circling the Washington Beltway, and after the fact, And that turned out to be charlatans involved in that one too. They took $500,000 out of it. It was supposed to be fuel money, but beside the point, when it was brought up to Congress, do you know what they were doing out there in the Beltway? They're like, no, we knew there was like a disturbance out there, that something was going on, but we didn't know what it was about. You know, you can't function in that regard. If they don't know what you're doing, then it's all for naught.
The question I have is, how many of them really knew what you were doing and just played dumb?
How many members of Congress know what you're doing, but they were playing dumb? Well,
Which is very good at.
they're very, very good at that. Somebody who's running for Senate made a statement. It was the doctor made a statement about that. You know, there's a point where you can excuse ignorance, but there comes a point when it's no longer ignorance; it's feigning ignorance. You don't put people in the D.C. so they can play doctor. You put people in D.C. so they can articulate with doctors, understand, and make educated decisions on our behalf. But if you're going to take all your information from one man out of the White House and not even have a commission, I don't know, maybe they do have a commission. I haven't seen or heard anything about a commission of people that Fauci consults with before he comes out and makes any statements. I mean, we're just at the whims of some idiot. This guy's just power hungry, you know. He's making decisions for us, and it's whimsical, you know. Wear a mask, oh, that's not working, wear 2 masks. You know, why not 3? You know, let's just keep piling them on. Why don't we all just get respirators and walk around, you know, with respirators on?
Why don't I just book my cat pass from boot camp and wear it?
Yeah, exactly, you know.
You can't do it anybody's saying. You could drink out the damn thing.
Houston, we have a problem here. Sean is not making connection. We're just not making very good connection, Sean.
I'll be back.
Underwater.
I'll be back.
But guys and gals, I did want to come on here and talk a little bit about the subcommittee. As you know, we got a subcommittee for the FMCSA. For the MCSAC, it was a subcommittee to the Motor Carrier Safety Advisory Committee, and it's already been spread around that I've been removed from that committee. I founded that committee. They removed me from that committee, which is not a big deal, you know. They decided they want to remove me, they want to remove me. No, who gives a shit, right? But, so I asked them, because I got a letter, and it was a very nicely written letter from the deputy administrator telling me that my position has been terminated. No excuse or reason why, your position is terminated. Okay, well, I'm fine. So the following morning, I had written her an email, asked her in regard to what brought her to this decision. And she refuses to respond to that. I have made numerous phone calls to her, and Shannon Watson is in charge of the MCSAC, and I've made numerous phone calls. I mean, bunches of phone calls, you know, over 30 in less than a month. Leaving messages to get no response, which is kind of rude on their part. Finally, I just got hold of my state senator or U.S. senator's office and asked them, hey, can you help me out with this? Can you reach out to them? Maybe they'll give you an answer why it is I was removed from this subcommittee. And astonishingly enough, when they finally did respond to him, their response was, our legal department advises us not to answer that question. I'm thinking to myself, that's a peculiar response. I mean, you know, maybe John's just an asshole and he said something terribly bad about the FMCSA, and I admit it, you know. I mean, I'm not the nicest guy when I articulate about the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. And I thought maybe that they had gotten word about some of the things I've said, and maybe that's why they removed me. But and I'm thinking, well, if they remove me for that, then what it is they can't handle the truth. They're not willing to deal with the truth. I mean, if I'm speaking about them, I'm only speaking from truth. Then I thought to myself, maybe it's because of these shows I do. You know, like we're talking about COVID, and we're talking about the president being a derelict or inept. And we use pretty harsh words in those regards. And I'm thinking to myself, so now we're talking about political prejudice. So did they remove me because they don't like my political beliefs, because I don't agree with them? Maybe I'm not a leftist. Maybe I'm not left-leaning. So it's just kind of, you know, you can speculate all night long about it. But the fact of the matter is they won't be transparent enough to even say as to why they removed somebody from the subcommittee.
They just remove somebody and just say your position's been terminated, and suppose you shouldn't ask or make an inquiry. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm kind of intrigued. I'd like to know which thing it was I've done that ticked them off that they didn't want me there any longer.
You spoke common sense, Sean.
Yeah, what a shame, right? So the point is their legal department advises them not to give an answer, which is, I just find that so intriguing to think this is our federal government. This is the agency for safety. And when they do finally have a subcommittee hearing or meeting, they really want to talk about supply chain demands and driver retention. Does this have anything to do with safety? Does this have anything to do with what the purpose of the committee? I can see maybe driver retention, that if you retain people that are experienced drivers, that, well, you're going to have safer drivers on the road. But I feel like they're using the committee more for commerce, for the benefit of larger corporations, than they are for actually its purpose or its intended purpose. And then, of course, I wanted to bring out in terms of the subcommittee, and I haven't got a response for this yet, but according to the Administrative Procedure Act, under Title V, they're supposed to, when they're going to have a meeting, they're supposed to make an announcement 1 week prior to having a meeting. And they're also supposed to open it up for public observation. And when they had the subcommittee meeting, they neither made an announcement prior to having the meeting, and they also did not open it up for public observation. These are two infractions of federal law that the FMCSA committed. I'm thinking to myself, that's not right, because if I break the law, even if it's not intentional, I get fined. I get put out of service.
But yeah, for 15 minutes over on our logbook because we couldn't find a parking space in time, well, we get a fine for that.
Right.
And when it goes on their score. So where's their score?
So here's the FMCSA violating laws, but there's no concern for it. And when inquired about it, it's ignored. When a senator's office makes the inquiry, it still gets ignored, and that gets concerning. This is your Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, people. So I wrote a letter to the Office of Inspector General about it and asked them to hold those who are responsible accountable for their actions. I think it's only fair. If you got to face fines and penalties, why don't they? The response was, this is a follow-up correspondence regarding your concerns. The OIG exercises independent judgment in determining the best use of available resources to meet our responsibilities under the Inspector General Act. We have reviewed the material you provided and determined that your concerns do not warrant a formal OIG investigation inquiry. Our file is closed and we are unable to reply to further communication regarding this matter. These are the people that are supposed to inspect their infractions. These are people that are supposed to oversee the FMCSA to make sure they're towing the line and doing what they're supposed to be doing, as well as inspect for criminal behavior in the trucking industry, such things as wire fraud and careless driving, or people driving without a CDL license. And we saw, remember that one guy, what's his name, Hector? He didn't have a CDL. He was driving for forever and a day without a CDL license.
Oh yeah, they caught that guy 4 times, 4 different times without a CDL, and they finally ordered him to shut down.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, what's the point of ordering a man to shut down if he's going to drive without a CDL license anyway? Does he give a crap if he's got the DOT number? Maybe he'll just write it off the side of somebody else's truck. I don't know. But anyway, it's just...
So who's to stop him for the 5th time?
Exactly. That's the point. Yeah, who's to prevent him from doing it the 5th time?
But we've got the OIG sitting over here telling you, don't bother us. We'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, basically they blew it off like it was no big deal. We don't have the funds to investigate. Dude, it was so simple. I gave you the evidence. I've shown you the evidence. All you had to do was look at it. It would have taken 5 minutes to make a determination and a phone call. All they had to do was make a phone call. Did you do this? No, you didn't do this? Okay, fine. Okay, I see you broke the law. Hello.
But to put these people in this office without any type of knowledge or any type of experience behind the wheel of a truck, John, I think you and I need to go do something where we don't have any experience, we don't have no knowledge, but we can make a ton of money and wear a three-piece suit to work every day.
Yeah, I'm gonna go work for the, FDA. You know,
Hey.
me as well. That's what they do.
I'll
I'm
take,
truck
you
driver.
know, no, I'll haul a load up there to you in New Hampshire every now and then, so you can get in the back, we'll inspect it, and if we find something wrong, we'll call the OIG and see if they blow us off. This time, we're gonna send pictures.
Yeah, right. So, anyway, that's basically the update on the FMCSA's indiscretions there at,
Meanwhile, you got Jody D in Washington that, I work so hard with the drivers, I try to do this, and I bend over backwards. You're hiding behind your suit and tie, Joey.
You want to know what it was I said about Joey D? I said it on the Witch's Brew. And what I said about Joey D was I had written him in regards to cybersecurity issues and how they may affect the trucking industry and adversely affect the trucking industry. And he blew it off like it was nothing. I told him that the FBI had done a formal report, and he said they got their issues wrong. I said that a gentleman out of Spain who did a blog showing you how to hack telematics devices, showing you how to do it. Runs you through the details. In fact, I followed step for step on that, on the Internet of Things, and did what he said and could see things. And he said he could take it so much further, but he was afraid if he did, he would impact the telematics devices. He may actually cause accidents out there on the roads if he went into their trucks and started screwing around with things. He didn't want to go any further, but he's shown that they could be hacked at that time. I sent that to Joey D, and he said one man's blog does not prove a fact-based pattern. That was his response to that. It does not prove. So in other words, it's not happening, so we don't care. But when you get hacked, let us know.
Me.
Yeah, but I'm my own worst. Yeah, that came back to me too. I'm my own worst enemy because I said this, I suppose. But so basically, what he's saying, and the thing about it, guys, is when you get hacked, you don't know you're hacked. How are you going to know you're hacked? There's nothing. There's no event data thing going on in your ELD that says, "Hey, you were hacked today." You know.
Well, in case in point, John, the pipeline got hacked. 3 days later, I started getting text messages on my phone that after the 8th one, I finally turned over. I was trying to take a nap. I figured it was just something going on the internet. I found out my debit card went around the world in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
As Doug Vitale said.
Yeah, well, look, man, SolarWinds got hacked, and the federal government was hacked for 9 months.
And the damn thing's still going around the world because I got a message the other day. Somebody tried to use it at a gym in Mexico for $2.95.
Yeah, so anyway, SolarWinds got hacked, and the government itself, that means all their agencies, they had to put out a notification of all their agencies, all their departments, to check for hacking, that they didn't know how long they were hacked for. They knew at least 9 months. Our own federal government didn't even know they were hacked for 9 months. Dude, sensitive information could be going around the world. We don't know what they found within our government. But, so what if you get hacked, right? And the third thing is the NHTSA's guidelines for cybersecurity and yada, yada, yada. That basically amounts to saying that hacking is a potential. It could be very, very real, and these are the guidelines that you should follow in order to prevent from being hacked. It doesn't say it will stop it. It just says to prevent it. Therefore, I told him, so you're basically admitting you can be hacked. And he said, no, we're not.
Any computer, from my knowledge of when I was building in my spare time, any computer can be hacked. From cell phone, clear up to wherever.
Dude, all you got to do, where is it? I don't know if I can do it on here, but when you click on something, it says inspect, right? Is it inspect elements? And look at all this data it's giving you about that page right there. Look at that. Everything is right frickin' there in front of me. I'm looking at iframe style, width, 1 pix, height, da 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 da. And I'm just saying that, God, I see Adult Swim in here. What's that doing here? I don't know what that's about. It must be an ad. Anyway, the point is
Adult Swimmer, huh?
Adult Swim, it's, the Cartoon Network. I'm assuming, because I
Uh-huh.
see BSW, adultswim.com, yahoo.com, my friend. So the point is, you know, I think most of, I'm not that savvy in technology, but what I'm getting at here is like list, style, type, none. All this coding is in here. So, I mean, how hard is it to hack a computer? How hard is it to hack into something? The only thing you're missing is the passwords, and how hard is that to figure out for some of these guys? They've proven it's really, really easy. Where are you going with Adult Swim? What are you saying, I'm a child?
I'm not,
I know that. I already
I'm
know I'm a
not.
child.
I am not even going there with you.
I see all sorts of stuff in here, man. But the point is, I don't know what Bleach Report is.
Bleacher Report.
Bleach Report. I'm assuming
I
these
bet
are
you
ads.
that-
I'm looking at email stuff, so I'm assuming these are ads and stuff that are built into this whole coding.
Well, I mean, you know, that could be Bleacher Report. They just put it for short.
But the point is there's a lot of coding and stuff right there in your computer that's very accessible to these guys. I mean, how hard is it to hack something? And like I said, just about any 8-year-old today can hack into stuff. They've arrested people. They had one kid was what was he, 16 or something, was into Florida water supply, and he was adding chlorine to the water supply. The amounts could be a deadly amount. And the reason why they caught the little guy was because there was a cursor moving around the screen. The security guard was sitting there and looked up, saw the cursor moving around, and he started seeing things opening up. So then he called security. You know, he called, well, whoever he needed to call, the cybersecurity folks that address those issues. And they had to shut everything down. You know, teenagers are doing this all day, every day. Sometimes they're just pranksters, and sometimes they're serious. The biggest thing is ransomware. Ransomware is the biggest thing. A lot of cities, a lot of police departments get hacked all the time. All the time. For ransomware. I think Atlanta's paid over $500 million per ransom. If I'm not mistaken, they've been hacked twice. Why would somebody hack a trucking company? Why would somebody hack an ELD? Well, we discussed about the Taliban being terrorists, and now we've just given them a bunch of computers, government computers. If they're savvy enough to take the courses and learn all about Python and C# and all this other stuff, I'm pretty sure they can get in them computers and find out a lot about the United States government. But if they want to commit acts of terrorism, maybe they'd like to take over your tanker truck, shut it down, and take the fuel away. Maybe they'd like to take your load of fertilizer.
Let me ask this question, John, while we're talking about terrorists. So, we had some guy come over, and he is behind the brain behind 9/11. 20 years later, we'll fast forward, January 6th, they were all called terrorists. They had no weapons other than maybe pitchforks, hammers, or shovels, or whatever. But we can give helicopters to the terrorists in another country.
Yeah, I don't know what it would cost to relocate those to an allied country, a neighboring allied country, but I bet you'd be a lot cheaper than replacing them.
And what's the worst? We got some guy sitting there with a hat on that's got horns out of the side of it, sitting behind Pelosi's desk with his feet propped up.
Oh, the January 6th thing makes me sick. Those weren't terrorists.
The animal rating was right. Pelosi for president.
Yeah. I agree. Well, we've been on here for about an hour, Sean. We've had a pretty good rant. Suppose we should close her up. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing, or was that pretty much it?
So anyway, September 8th or 7th.
8th will be the next, the Common Sense. So we have a show tomorrow, Common Sense Conservatives, and a week after that we'll have the doctor on.
So Dr. Dan Stott, who went to Notre Dame University and graduated out of Indiana University with his medical, will be on hand to answer questions if you care to call in to common sense is conservative. That should be a pretty good show with him and Chris alone.
I think it's going to be a really good show. This guy is full of information. We only have an hour show, actually. It's 55 minutes after we do top of the hour news. And this guy will fill it. Having heard the things he has to say and what he wants to talk about, he is going to fill that hour.
And then on Sundays, we have the Richest Brew with Cheryl and Tracy. Cheryl's never got back to me about using her car because I need to sweep out my truck.
Hey, it still flies.
But does it have a dustpan on the other end?
God, don't all of them come with dustpans?
I
We just
thought they
sweep it
did,
under the
but
carpet.
you never know. You never know. Somebody might yell foul. They got too sensitive because it made it weight 1 pound too much.
Yeah, right? We also want to mention 10-4 on DC is coming up rapidly, guys. Brian Brazé did a video in it, a very good informative video, just before we started this show. You might want to go check it out at 10-4 on DC on Facebook, and think about joining us there, you know. It'll be a lot of fun to see a lot of people there.
10-4 on BC has been going for, this will make what, the third year?
I think this is year number 4.
And every time they get together, there's no hassles. They do a very good job of organizing it with Fred Bowerman and Brian Brozzi, and Mike Landis will be there this year, will he not?
I think he will. He's been there every year. I believe he'll be there this year. I should hope so.
And this gives you guys an opportunity to go up and to actually meet some of the drivers that are non-drivers listening to our show. And they will give you first-hand experience of what it's like to get out here on the road, especially if you've got the inclination you think you want to try this. And those 3 individuals are very knowledgeable. And as Brian has said in his video today, that they have showed you ways to where you can meet your representative or U.S. Senator. How you can make an appointment. Many, I just make a phone call and say, I want to talk to him now.
Yeah, right? You'd be surprised. You can make contact in your United States Senator. Ask for the transportation aid. You got something you want to talk to him about, call your senator's office and just ask to speak to the transportation aid. They'll take your name, they'll take your phone number, all your contact information, and forward it to the person, and that person will get in touch with you. You'd be surprised. It's not that difficult to get hold of them and start addressing your issues with them. You don't have to run into DC. You don't have to shake their hand and meet them in person. They're very pleasant to talk to. Most of them are pleasant to talk to on the phone. I've had one that just set me off like a Roman candle. I lit up on her. It was just stupid. I don't even want to get the details on it. It'd take too much time.
In jokingly, I said that in all sincerity. I mean, and Don, you've been on the phone several times with me when I've talked to either a senator or congressman's aide. It's usually very, very simple and very easy.
Yeah.
Here lately, I noticed that they are setting up, they've been sending us over to the public relations individual.
Yeah.
Which means we'll get around to you when you get around to you, but back in the Trump administration, it was, oh yeah, sure, no problem here, we can do this.
But, yeah, the thing, well, COVID's changed a lot in that regard. But again, you know, it's not, once you build a relationship with the aide and stuff, you can get a lot of information. And I gotta tell you, USTA was doing a lot of good they didn't know they were doing. I have seen bills come up, and the shame of it is they, because of COVID and stuff, they've lost their traction, and they need to regain it. You know, we, the truck drivers, need to regain our traction, and get back in there, because we can get things into bills if we keep talking to them. And I've seen it. I've seen things show up that people weren't realizing was there, all because truck drivers were talking to them.
The key to all that is, though, you're not going to be able to go up and speak your mind. If you go, you've got to be level-headed when you do this.
You can't curse them like I do the FMCSA.
Oh, is that why Jody doesn't return your phone calls?
Probably. Probably.
Oh, I thought maybe it's because you got upset with the angry Asian Chinese woman, and we told her why she belonged with the DOD when she never drove a car. Then again, I asked the same question about Elaine Chow, and look what happened there.
Well, the most amazing thing is you know, they get upset because your words are hurtful. They get upset because your words are harsh. While yet they're making regulations that are causing more and more drivers to die, and that's okay. You know, it's not their fault. It's your fault. It's not their
But
fault.
it's okay that we have a former Department of Transportation secretary get caught up in a bunch of crap overseas with his son, but yet though he can become head of Virginia's DOT department and had to pay a $40,000 fine. Yes, I'm talking about Ray LaHood.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about that. All right, Sean, I think it's time to close this bad boy out. We'll get some research done, and we'll bring forth some more information over time, and do some more of these shows, and hopefully get people going again. You know, maybe they could use the information. Contact the United States senators or representatives' offices, and we'll get that traction going again. You know what I mean? Till then, y'all be good, and be safe in your travels, and enjoy the family when you get to them. And we'll catch you later.